Most beginners assume expensive perfume should smell cleaner, smoother, more obviously pleasant, but niche perfumery often moves in the opposite direction. Not because perfumers are trying to make bad smells, but because they're trying to create tension, texture, realism, memory, atmosphere, things that don't always feel pleasant immediately. Mass market fragrances are usually built to succeed in seconds. Imagine walking through a department store. You smell sweetness, freshness, bright citrus, soft vanilla. Your brain instantly understands it. That familiarity creates comfort. Niche perfumery often removes that comfort on purpose. A fragrance like Tom Ford Black Orchid became famous partly because people couldn't immediately understand it. Some people described it as dark chocolate incense, wet earth, old furniture, luxury hotel air. Others thought it smelled strange or even unpleasant, but that confusion is part of the experience. Because niche perfume often behaves less like beauty and more like cinema. Think about movies for a second. The films people remember forever are not always the easiest ones to watch. Sometimes they're strange at first, uncomfortable, slow, unexpected, but they stay in your mind because they create emotional texture instead of instant satisfaction. Niche perfume works similarly. One reason beginners struggle with niche fragrances is that their brains are trained by familiarity. Most people grow up surrounded by shampoo, laundry, detergent, soap, air fresheners, commercial colognes over time. The brain starts associating clean with good and unusual with wrong. So when niche perfume introduces smoke leather, animalic musk, bitter woods, metallic notes, the brain interprets it almost like a warning signal. Not because the fragrance is objectively bad, but because it doesn't match existing scent expectations. This gets even more interesting when you look at how memory affects smell. Some niche fragrances intentionally recreate uncomfortable or realistic sensations. For example, old paper dust whiskey asphalt after rain, cigarette smoke, damp stone, cold forest air. Not because people literally want to smell like these things, but because the brain experiences them as atmosphere, as emotion, as story. And this is where niche perfumery becomes very different from designer fragrance. Designer perfumes usually ask, will people like this? Niche perfumes often ask, will people feel something? That's a completely different goal. Some of the most famous niche fragrances became successful precisely because they ignored traditional beauty. Take Comme des Garçons Series 2, Incense. For many beginners, it doesn't even smell like perfume. It smells smoky, dry, spiritual ancient, almost like entering a cold stone temple. To someone expecting sweetness or freshness, it can feel shocking. But to someone experienced with fragrance, that unusual atmosphere becomes the entire point. Or consider Le Labo Santal 33. When it became massively popular, many people described it in completely different ways. Some smelled soft wood warm skin, luxury hotel. Others smelled pickles, leather dry paper. The fascinating part is that both reactions are real, because smell perception is deeply subjective and shaped by personal scent memory. There's also another reason beginners struggle with niche perfume. They smell too quickly. Niche fragrances often develop slowly. The opening may feel harsh, medicinal, smoky, dry. But after 30 minutes, the entire fragrance changes. Experienced fragrance people often wait before judging. Beginners usually decide immediately, so they never experience a transformation. And honestly, this is part of why niche fragrance communities sometimes sound strange to outsiders. People aren't only talking about smell anymore, they're talking about mood atmosphere, identity memory, texture, emotion. At some point, Perfume stops behaving like something pleasant and starts behaving more like art you wear on your skin. What's funny is that many people who now love niche perfume hated it at first, not because their nose changed, but because their attention changed. Their brains slowly learned how to recognize texture, how to enjoy complexity, how to appreciate tension instead of instant comfort. And once that happens, regular fragrances can sometimes start feeling strangely flat, predictable, too easy. That doesn't mean niche perfume is better. A lot of niche perfume is honestly difficult on purpose, and some people will always prefer fragrances that simply smell clean and attractive. There's nothing wrong with that. But niche perfumery opens a different door, one where fragrance becomes slower, stranger, more emotional, more personal. And once your brain adjusts to that world, you start realizing something unexpected. The fragrances you hated first are often the ones you remember longest.
If this changed the way you smell things, stay close.